I love how the previous chapter ends, which you don't really know who this person is. So I always love this as like you're telling bedtime stories to your kid and you're like, finish this chapter. And you're like, oh, wait till tomorrow or we'll read the next part of the story. It's got to be really exciting as a kid, but it's a good like cliffhanger for the end of the chapter. But I love when it says, it goes boom. They knocked again. Dudley jerked awake. Where's the cannon? He said stupidly. So I always wanted to know what he was dreaming about. It's always a question that I think about.
Probably one of his shows.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Can't say I've really given it too much of a thought. It's a great question.
Well, what was the name of the show that he was worried about missing?
The Great Humberto or something like that?
Yeah, maybe there's cannons in that. And he was
Yeah.
dreaming about that because he was worried about missing it.
What animal do you think you have to trade in for a cannon?
Probably like a python.
Like an
or
emu or something.
Yeah, an ostrich, a full ostrich.
Yeah.
20 parrots. 20 parrots you need.
I think you could get something better for an emu because the Australians lost an entire war to emu.
It's true.
You didn't get an entire artillery piece.
What cool things did you guys see in this chapter? What notes did you have in this one?
These are the first hints that Hagrid has his wand still. And it's
Yeah.
his umbrella.
Yeah.
So my question is, did Dumbledore mend Hagrid's wand with the death stick and put it in an
100%.
umbrella to hide it?
Yep.
100%?
Yep.
Yep.
100%,
Yeah.
yes.
I love that. I love that was unanimous too. It was like, clearly this is what happened.
I always think that that's canon until I like properly look at the books. I'm like, wait, maybe it
Yeah.
isn't. But in my head, it's just always been canon that that's what's happened.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
It's the only one that we know that can do that. So it has to
Yeah.
be.
I had never thought about it. I give you all the credit for the fact that it's headcanon.
Yes. I love that. It's it's just like movie only. If you only see the movie, you don't really know that the death stick can mend a wand, like Harry's. So I'm always just intrigued. If you read the book, and then as soon as I got to that part, and then I reread it for like the third or fourth time, I was like, there's no way. It can't just be like a snap wizard that he put the remnants into this umbrella and it works, because that just doesn't happen. That doesn't work. So I'm like, Dumbledore had to have mended this wand.
And that wasn't even a thought to me until the end of the 7th book when Harry mended his own wand.
Exactly, I know. Yeah.
But I don't think it was.
The only other explanation I could think of was they didn't totally break the core. And so they were able to mend it a little bit that way. But that's it.
Yeah.
That's the only other explanation.
But it was not immediately after he was expelled, because I think he was expelled before 1945, and Dumbledore didn't get the wand until 1945.
Interesting.
Because
Yeah.
Tom Riddle opened the Chamber of Secrets in 1942-41. So that's when he was expelled.
Mm-hmm. But Hagrid said that he kept the pieces regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a little memento.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would keep those pieces too. I love that that's all unanimous headcanon for us. That makes me happy. Man, I mean, but what's the question? If you got your wand snapped in two, and then Dumbledore mended it, but you had to hide it, how would you hide it? Put it in like an air rifle. Trade it for a parrot.
I mean, personally, I don't go anywhere in the world without my water bottle, so I would just have to put it, not sponsored.
Yeah.
I would have to put it in my water bottle because nobody would suspect a thing. They're like, oh, there's Becky with her water. And then suddenly I'd be like, going for it.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I never forget to leave the house without. So that'll be mine.
It's got to be in like some inconspicuous thing. You couldn't like crush it up and like dust it on your phone or something like that. I would do like a big staff. Like I'm just a weird guy who always walks around with a staff. You know, everyone's like, "What the heck is John doing with that big staff?" And all of a sudden, every once in a while, I just pull out a spell out of it, like Gandalf.
What,
If you
have you
made it like
never?
your thing. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
have you
like,
never struck a wand on the ground and said, "You shall not pass"?
Oh yeah, all the time. Anytime I have a walking stick, that's exact. It's like the first thing I
Exactly.
do. So
Yeah.
even I do that, and I don't even know Lord of the Rings. If you were a musician, you'd have an easy time of it because you could. This is so. The things I'm just pulling out of nowhere, but you could just stick it in the end of a recorder, and if you're a musician, nobody would even bat an eyelid.
Yeah.
There's so many
Thank you
things you
for
could
the
do.
idea because I play the flute,
There
so
you
that's
go.
perfect.
Perfect.
I mean, drumsticks kind of look like wand.
That's true. It's very true.
Musicians.
But I
are
don't carry
the
my
way to
flute
go.
anywhere. I carry pens and pencils, so one of those because in my bag I always have to have a pen.
It's a very
But
But
long
people are
pencil.
likely to
Pencil.
ask to borrow a pen.
Hmm.
That's the problem.
I don't no, I like my pens are mine because I don't know if you all work on an office, you have your pen.
Here's another interesting one. I've always thought about this. I think we maybe have talked about this before, but how do you get the core into a wand?
Magic, duh.
Yeah, I know. It's like such an easy answer. But I've thought about that. I don't know how they get the core in the wand.
No, there's a lot of ways to insert things into wood.
Yeah, for
Maybe
sure.
Maybe you drill down the center and you shove it down in there.
And then make a fill for
And
it or
then you
something
fill
like
it back
that.
up.
I don't know. Yeah, I've seen that. I mean, I like love woodworking, and so like I know people. You know, you can sometimes you split the middle, and then you just are really good, and you like glue it perfectly together again. So looks like there's no seam. But I don't know. Magic, I guess. Magic is the answer for it. It's a boring answer, but it's probably the answer.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the answer for everything.
I think it was done by love because that is the answer to everything in the story.
Well,
That is how
Ollivander
Ollivander
does love
it.
every wand.
Yeah.
Ollivander just he speaks sweet words to the wand, and it just in it. Oh, this. And in it goes.
It's all right, baby. Get in there.
And then some sparks fly out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, canon.
Speaking of magic that breaks physics, when Hagrid ties the gun like a knot
Mm.
made out of rubber, I find that really entertaining because it's such a like cartoony thing
Yeah.
for him to take the gun and tie it into a knot.
Yeah, I like the movie version of that better when he just turned it up.
Yeah.
I actually, this is going to be a hot take, like, but I think that the movie did this chapter better than the book.
Mm.
People are going to come at me for saying that. I think it's one of the rare instances where I feel like the movie made it feel more than the book did, except for obviously Harry's inner dialogue and a monologue. That is never going to translate over to film, but in terms of feeling the magic, I just feel like the movie did it quite well.
Yeah, but the
Well-
movie I don't think explains that Hagrid meant to turn Dudley into an entire pig but failed.
The one thing
True.
we want.
No, that
But-
shows that Hagrid is not very good at magic.
Yeah.
I will agree
Yeah,
with
but I
you
feel like
on
in
the entrance. Like the score is so good
Mm.
that like I can just hear the like the dramatic music, the build up for Hagrid hitting the door, and then like the switch to different music once you realize, oh, he's not gonna kill you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know people who were scared of that scene when Hagrid enters the hut, and did stopped watching the movie and didn't watch it until much later
What? That's
in their
crazy.
life.
I think
I
the movie did
just-
a really good job of show don't tell too, with Harry just sort of drawing himself a birthday cake
Mm.
and then
Yeah.
just sort of waiting for midnight.
Yeah.
I just love I just love the movie that when Harry said he's just Harry.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
cute.
I can't be a
Like that
wizard.
he didn't
I'm
believe that he was a
just,
wizard.
I'm just Harry. Yeah, yeah. That's a cute line. Yeah, there are like rare instances where the screenwriters actually nailed it, I think, and that was this is a really good chapter. Then I think about it in the portrayed in the movies. There's a few really good things
Except for the fact
they nail.
that Hagrid doesn't recognize Harry.
Yeah, that's unexcusable. That one bothers me so much. But everything other than that, I actually love. I think it's good. Even the birthday cake, the show don't tell thing, and I love when he blows it out. That's the exact moment that he hears the knock at the door. So you're like, he had to have wished, that he wanted to get out of that place or something. It's really good underwriting. I like it.
I actually don't mind that he mistook Harry and Dudley, because when he goes, "Oh, you're a bit more along than I would have," I can't do accents, but he does that. "You're a bit more along than I would have expected," and then that kind of ties into them, then Dudley eating the cake, and then the whole pig thing. Like it kind of everything sort of then connects.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to
because
that.
that
I
sort
don't
of
know.
includes a line from the book where Hagrid's making sausages, and he goes, "Don't worry, Vernon. I won't give your kid any more. He doesn't need it." And then he gives sausages to Harry.
Yeah, pudding of a son doesn't.
There's some things you just would not get away with in children's literature today.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying earlier that like if it was today's written in today's world, Dudley would be like curvaceous and thick with two C's.
Yeah.
Harry's curvaceous cousin, Dudley.
I think the only reason I don't like that Hagrid doesn't recognize him is because then everybody else does.
Yep.
So then
Yeah.
it's like, why would Hagrid not when everybody else can?
Let's just
But I
say
think
it was
the-
dark.
Yeah, and Dudley has short hair. You can see his entire forehead. Obviously,
Yeah.
doesn't have the lightning bolt scar.
The reason I can think of is Harry is hiding in that scene, and only comes out when Dudley says he's not Harry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you reckon Hagrid knew? He must have known that Dudley existed. Do you reckon? Because if he didn't, then that would make sense in that sense.
Yeah, I think there's a discussion. I think Hagrid's present in the discussion in the first chapter when they talk about their son. And I think Petunia mentions that when Hagrid's there, but I'm not positive. But I can imagine Hagrid probably knows about them a little bit. Maybe not.
I mean, Dumbledore told Harry that there's gonna be some problem. So maybe, I don't know.
That's true. What was the brief that Dumbledore gave Hagrid for that? What was Hagrid walking into? What did he expect when he was going into this?
Well, there's that conversation
Hagrid
in the
doesn't
first
seem-
chapter or second chapter when McGonagall is talking about, "I've been watching these people all day. They're terrible."
Yeah.
Maybe he knew they were not letting him go to Hogwarts, but he did, like in the chapter says, he didn't know, Harry didn't know anything about anything, like his parents, Hogwarts, or anything. So he thought Harry knew something, but he didn't expect it was going to be this bad. But I think Dumbledore tell him, hey, they might not let him go, but he's coming.
Yeah. Well, since Harry didn't reply to the letters, Dumbledore probably thought, "Oh, they're keeping the letters from him." And then, so he's like, "Hey, you might have some troubles. It seems like they're keeping the letters from him. So, go check it out."
I just don't imagine Hagrid as being much of a planner. Like, I feel like he's very much go into the situation and figure it out later, or doesn't even have that as a mindset. Because he's not. I love Hagrid. He's my all-time favorite character, but he's just not all there in the brain.
Okay.
Hagrid's very much a "this is what I'm doing" type of person.
Yeah. I would definitely characterize him as that. There's like an extreme like outdoorsman. I feel like Hagrid just has a lot of the experience that he just kind of knows what he needs to do around certain situations, so he doesn't necessarily need a plan. He's just like, I've been here before, I've gone through this. So he like, yeah, a plan isn't something that he's actively coming up. He's just like, oh, I'll go there. I'm way taller. No one's gonna be able to hurt me or harm me. I'm just gonna go in and we'll see what the situation is there.
Maybe that's why he tried to turn Dudley into a pig, because he thought,
Yeah.
right, I don't know what's going on here. If we've got an animal in the mix, I'm all there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I really know what I'm talking about if there's a pig.
There, yeah. So it was just because he lost control and was like, animal.
He makes a goat and Aberforth comes running in. What's happening here?
But remember, he's dealing with muggles. Even his basic magic is more than what the Dursleys have.
Yeah.
So. So he was like, I'm going to show up a little bit, and this is all I can do, but it's going to be enough for them because they cannot do anything.
Do any of you guys...
I kind of think the main reason why Hagrid's the one to take Harry to Diagon Alley is because he saw that the Dursleys wouldn't.
I would have preferred if McGonagall showed up, but...
Yeah, that probably would have been a little better. McGonagall.
Yeah.
No, disagree. I think Hagrid was exactly the right person to turn up for Harry. He, McGonagall's great and all, but Harry needed that sort of friendly person that also had a slight parental thing, but not too much. And Hagrid has literally got the biggest heart ever. I think McGonagall could have been a little bit intimidating for him.
Yeah, I think so.
McGonagall might have reminded him too much of Petunia.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's why. Yeah, go ahead. So that's why I feel that Hagrid is a Hufflepuff and not a Gryffindor. Because I know canon, like she said, canoning, he's a Gryffindor, but he is the representation of a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I would love to resort a lot of these characters from the books. I feel like some of them
that's
are
a good video idea. Resorting characters.
Ooh, that is a good video idea. I like that.
If it's as controversial as your last list, I don't know. For your own sake, you'll have a bounty on your head.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Cedric is definitely a Gryffindor at that point.
Yeah, that's an interesting one with Hagrid. I'm curious why Dumbledore didn't want to go first. Why he didn't want to go introduce himself to Harry at that moment. Did he just want to put some a little bit of distance in between the two? What is his motive for not wanting to go introduce Harry and bring in the letter and go see how he's doing at the Dursleys?
Well, like it was said earlier, I think it's because as intimidating as Hagrid looks, he's very friendly.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's why. Wanted a good introduction to the wizarding world and sort of a crash course, like, hey, there's half giants.
Yeah, there's cool stuff here. Get excited.
I think Dumbledore always is testing things. And I think that people would react differently to Dumbledore. There's a just a respect that he commands just being who he is that Hagrid does not. And I think that you can judge somebody's character much better by how they react to somebody who society doesn't think is great than just how they react to somebody who society respects.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. So he's actually also, trying to get a better gauge on Harry rather than going himself. He's like, let me actually see how he treats someone who's, like Hagrid.
And also coming back to the humble thing, if your headmaster is the one going to get you and all that, I don't know, it will be a little weird.
Yeah. It's like a little brag he can have over the first day. Oh, the headmaster came and got me. All the other schools, all the other students are like, shut up. Such a loser, Harry. Do any of you guys not like Hagrid as a character when he's introduced?
Just be careful before you answer. No, I'm joking. You all have the
Becky will
right to your
bully
own
you.
wrong opinions.
I don't dislike Hagrid, but I do think that he's a little too harsh on Dudley here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that I feel bad for Dudley in these last two chapters. His dad's going insane.
Mm-hmm.
He, not that he should have been as spoiled as he has been, but there is a shock value that he's going through of not getting what he wants to get for the first time in his life. Also, like Jabel said earlier, I think Jabel's only a bag of chips in the last like 24 hours to eat. And he's super hungry and he just eats a piece of cake. And Hagrid wants to turn him into a pig for eternity.
Yeah, for real.
You know, we've had a conversation about Hermione later on with the sneak on Marietta's forehead and like if it's evil of her to do it or not because it's permanent. Hagrid also just put a permanent tail on this kid. So I definitely like Hagrid. I just think that he is a little extreme in his reaction. Like I don't think it's Dudley's fault. Like he didn't know about magic, right? Like if he had reacted the way he did to Vernon, like if he had done the tail thing or kind of just been as harsh as he was with Dudley with Vernon, I would feel like it would be more merited than with Dudley
with a
in this
child.
situation.
Yeah.
Also, it's also interesting that he regrets doing magic rather than regrets putting the tail on Dudley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Hagrid doing magic is also really interesting to me because it sort of teaches Harry it's okay to bend the rules a little bit.
Which
right
he does, yeah, all throughout. That's like a good. He's learned that his first lesson of Hogwarts is like, oh, you could bend the rules to however you need them to, and that's what Harry does all the time.
I'm not necessarily supposed to be doing magic, but can we make this boat go a little faster?
Yeah.
I think that's the best lesson that Harry could have had because if Harry wasn't bending the rules,
yeah, agreed.
Where would the school the school would be in shambles if Harry wasn't bending the rules every year.
Yeah, agreed.
And also, I have a feeling that Dumbledore intentionally got Hagrid to go get Harry because he knew shit was going to go down. He knew that Hagrid would have a heart so big that he sees some sort of wrongdoing happening and just acting in a, I will admit, irrational sort of way. But I think the little whimsical Dumbledore definitely knew that something was going to happen like that. And that's why he did it. And think about how good that made Harry feel. Because for the first time in his life, an adult was on his side and not his cousin's side. So although it's not necessarily the most responsible thing to do to a child, I get that. But for Harry, it was so good for Harry because it's all about him and somebody who's on his side for once.
I fully agree with that. I also think that Hagrid is the perfect person to have gone to get him. But I do judge Hagrid a little bit.
Yeah.
Hagrid does some questionable stuff.
Yeah.
Like he got
a
dragon egg off a gamble.
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
And didn't question it at all. Was like, oh, this is typical.
Yeah.
You have to remember that Hagrid is a half giant.
Yeah.
Hagrid's a half giant. Giants are not known for being particularly. In fact, they're known for being particularly unintelligent and also, not very nice creatures. Now, so of course Hagrid is not going to have that much intelligence, especially as he left school at 13 and probably didn't have any proper parental figures. But for him to still be a half giant and have that much of a heart is just like one of the most admirable things in the whole series, I'd say.
I'm curious what
Do
his
we
dad
know
was
how
like.
old Hagrid was when his dad died?
Jables, you're right beside me.
Oh. Whoa. Yeah, I'm not sure how old he was. But I mean, if he'd been working at Hogwarts from the age he got expelled, like, I don't know. The whole Hagrid parental thing is a bit odd. It's one of these things you can't really think too much about, or your ears will start to steam up.
Yeah. I'm curious what his parents were really like too. Like if his dad just was like absolute heart of gold and his mom wasn't like, you know, crazy smart because she was a full giant. Not getting into even the logistics of how that all worked. But
he just crawled up.
But I was asking about Hagrid.
An engorgement charm.
Yeah, really, yeah.
I was asking about Hagrid's age when his parents died because I also think that I was pretty sure that they died, or he died when he was young. So Hagrid was an orphan young. So that's another thing that really connects Harry and Hagrid.
So Hagrid's
I think
father
he died.
died in somewhere in his second year.
Yeah.
And still, he still does have that in common with Harry. His parents.
Wasn't Hagrid expelled his third year?
Yep.
And that was Riddle's 6th year?
Yes.
Okay.
I think 5th.
5th?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
He was a prefect, so maybe 5th or 6th, one of those.
All right. So maybe that's why Dumbledore kept him on, is because he's like, oh, you're an orphan. You have literally nowhere to go. You're a half giant, and now you've been expelled. Just chill at the school.
Yeah, just hang out. Just do your thing.
I don't know. I just feel like Hagrid, it's the Hagrid fan club over here. I just feel like Hagrid is, because, yeah, he meets Dumbledore and Dumbledore is all nice to him, but there is an ulterior motive with Dumbledore the whole way through. And he doesn't know it that yet. But, like, with Hagrid, he's just his friend, and he sees him as his friend, and there's nothing like, he's not like, oh, I want to be his friend because he's Harry Potter. I'm not wanting to be his friend so that he can risk his life to save the world. You know, it's just all about, you know, him actually liking him.
Yeah.
And then Harry does not name his kid after Hagrid.
Yeah, which is
Hagrid would have named him like Ruby. If he had a daughter, called her Ruby or something. Not bloody Albus Severus, two people that one abused you and one used you. Like, what are you doing, Harry?
So Harry,
I think it's just also weird. Like, if you have like Hagrid is still alive by that time, and then you hope that they become friends, and then there's Ruby, and Ruby is hanging out. I mean, it seems a bit weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that would be so cute.
That would be
little
cute.
Ruby Potter. Imagine how happy Hagrid would be. Dumbledore and Snape aren't going to know they're dead. Do you know what I mean? It would mean so much more. Spoilers. It would mean so much more to Hagrid. Could you imagine how red his face would go? He would be bawling his eyes out of Harry.
Yeah, it's true.
Hagrid
is a very pure character.
He's a godfather. I'd like to think that he is a godfather, maybe.
Yeah, I like that. That'd be an interesting dynamic when they go onto school with what Hagrid is like, how Hagrid treats Harry's kids.
Oh, you know those kids are going down there for tea on their off days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I know that he'd treat them well, but I hope that the kids treat Harry well. No, not Harry. Hagrid well. Because, like, they could just so easily be like, why should I be friends with you? You're just like an old man that lives in a shed.
I imagine Hagrid is pretty present in their lives, like an uncle.
They should have known him since they were babies and play with him. Like, I can see him I don't know if he will be the greatest babysitter, but I can see him, babysitting twice or thrice for date night.
Yeah.
So maybe one of the questions is, does Hagrid retire shortly after? Hagrid is at the school, like that's confirmed in the epilogue, right? So I'm curious if there was any like conflict of interest in there, like him being that close to a particular set of students. If he's like, maybe he's still a teacher though at that time, right?
Yeah, he's teaching
I'm like,
magical
yeah.
still.
I'd be like, Hagrid, it's time for you to retire. Just like go into the sunset. Be like a grandpa. You know, you're a godfather to these kids. Just like fulfill your grandfatherly duties. And if you're like a grandpa to these kids, you can't necessarily be teaching these kids at the same time. That's like conflict of interest.
Why not? My English teacher had a kid that was in my class.
Well, you come from a small town, guys.
I do not.
No, I don't see how that's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, it's true. I guess
as long as he's not giving them like extra special treatment.
Yeah.
And like giving them better grades.
But you definitely know he's doing that. You definitely know he's giving him better grades, giving him special treatment.
But I think
Hagrid respects his class better than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Snape is also giving Harry purposefully bad grades. So
yeah, that's true. On the other end, yeah, it balances out in the end.
And I don't see Hagrid retiring. I feel like Hagrid will work until he's dead. Like he don't look like the type that he can just sit there and do nothing. Yeah, he can go gamble and he has a low key alcohol problem, but besides that, I don't see him just staying
I don't
still.
think he has an alcohol problem because he's so big. It takes so much to get him drunk. Like he drinks a lot, yeah, but he's half giant.
How many times has he been drunk in the books?
He's just British. He's literally just British. It is the culture. You've got the students going down and getting drunk in Hogsmeade. Like it's not. And this was also, back in the day. And the
it was the 90s.
I don't think he's got a problem.
Yeah.
The only time that I can think of him actually being drunk is when the spider dies.
Yeah, same, yeah.
I say that name wrong, so I'm just calling it the spider, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, and there was one time, I think it was like the first Christmas, he gave like McGonagall a kiss on the cheek or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, cute.
He was pretty tipsy at least.
Hagrid's an
but
interesting one.
But it's not like he's doing his classes drunk.
Yeah, he would never.
He's a regular at the Diagon Alley bar. I forgot the name. Not the Three Broomsticks, the other one.
Leaky Cauldron.
Leaky Cauldron. They know his name.
You're regular.
I'm not saying maybe he don't have a problem, but he goes quite a lot to the bar in the books.
Yep. It's crippling gambling.
Yeah,
he has a crippling gambling addiction rather than McGonagall.
I mean.
Yeah, but I think it's just a European culture.
Yeah, for sure.
I live in a pretty close-knit neighborhood, and there's a little bar that I go to all the time. And it's like, hey, you want your usual? Yeah. He's probably been going there since he was 18.
And let's be honest, Hagrid goes for the social chattiness that he can like talk to. He can talk to other patrons there. He can talk to like the barkeeper. I feel like he's going for the social aspect rather than he's going for like the let me just unwind and get hammered at the bar so I don't have to think about these stupid students all the time, I don't think that's his reason.
He's going there to play some cards.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Chum it up.
Have a few drinks.
Yeah.
And he just knows Tom because he's been going there since he was probably 18.
Yeah, for sure.
Hold on. He has been going there since he was 14.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because they wouldn't have needed to card him.
You're like full-grown beard at 9 years old? All right, come on in.
But also in the 90s, no, he would have been before that. No, he was to the
40s.
Well, yeah, no, 10 years, 5 years old, he'd probably been drinking in the 40s.
And who knows how old Tom is? So it. Yeah.
Did you guys see anything else in this chapter? Any other cool tidbits?
I like that we learned that Lily and James were head boy and girl. And I like the small drop to the Pruitts, which is Molly's brothers.
Yeah, the Pruitts discussion is one of my favorites. I love that so much. The gold watch that she gives, that was her brothers. Oh my gosh, that breaks my heart. I love that section.
Yeah. And then this is also the chapter that introduces Voldemort. Like Hagrid tells him who he was.
And maybe Hagrid's really yeah. He gives him a little bit of the information in this one. And then he gives it in the next one as well. But in this one, I love it because I'm even thinking about the motive for sending Hagrid. And Hagrid like knows what's happening, but I don't think he like. It's like the explain it like I'm 5 kind of meme. Hagrid would explain it to Harry like he's 5. McGonagall might be a little bit too heady for him. Same thing. Dumbledore would just hold things back. So Hagrid doesn't fully understand the situation. So he's almost the best one to explain it because he's not going to go into crazy detail about the whole thing. He's going to be like, this is the facts. This is what I know. Harry, here you go. And that's it.
Yeah. But your parents are pretty cool. I want you to know
for
that.
sure. Yeah. He's the ultimate hype man for Lily and James.
I also love that Hagrid is, obviously the one that ushers him into the wizarding world, and he's also the first person to say the famous line of Harry looks like James except for his eyes. And I just love that he's the first one to say it to him, because up until that point, Harry doesn't know anything about his parents, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys think that Harry thinks of Hagrid every time somebody says that to him?
That would be sweet.
I hope so.
Yeah, but it happens way too often.
Yeah, he's numb to it.
Yeah, he just got pretty annoyed by it after a while.
Yeah, he was annoyed at Slughorn when Slughorn said it.
Yeah.
Understandably. I look almost exactly like my dad, and every time the family gets together with all my cousins and whatnot, I hear it all the time. You look just like your dad when he was your age. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm his son.
Like, that's how genetics work. Welcome. I really liked the line when Hagrid was saying, like, oh, how come he knows nothing about anything? Obviously meaning about the Wizarding World. And Harry goes, I can do some things. I can do maths and stuff. Yeah. My heart. I'm like, bless him. He has got no idea. He just thinks this random man has come in and be like, this kid's an idiot. He doesn't know anything. He's like, I can do maths.
Which raises another great point. I feel like there should be gen eds at Hogwarts of, math, English, like a few gen eds so that they can at least have some of the basics down. Like they don't know a thing about addition or subtraction or any of that.
But surely
I think they learn a lot of that through arithmetic.
Oh, okay, yeah. That makes sense.
Like, but I feel like you get the basics in primary school or whatever the wizards do, like the homeschooling. Maybe they just learn all of the stuff that they can't actually do.
It's true.
Because obviously they shouldn't really be teaching them magic when they're under the age of 11.
All the math I learned from 11 and on, I don't remember any of it or have need of it anymore. So there you go.
Do you know what I mean? You learn your times tables, you learn a bit of like subtraction. You're not learning that, you're not using the Pythagoras theorem in your everyday life. Also, all of that's redundant.
Yeah, and I think you're getting some practice of math and like potions because you need it.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
You get practice of English and all those essays they have to write for every class.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, maybe they should have a math class. Wizards have a weird relationship with math, especially with how their money works. What is it, like 17 nuts to a sickle?
Yeah. And 23 pickles or whatever to a galleon.
To a
29.
Galleon, yeah. So,
29.
Come on, Nemo. I expect more from you.
Use prime numbers so that no one can do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like maybe they just get used to that when they're younger, and then they've got
when you grow up with something
just by trying to figure out how to get around the grounds. Everything just sort of falls into their days.
But how do they do change? Like if you pay for something that costs like 3 sickles and you toss them a galleon, the math for that change is ridiculous.
Magic.
Yeah, you just give 28
yeah, just
sickles and 14 nuts. Easy.
But like, this is probably something that they get like practice of when they're kids. So then, like, because to us, we're like, oh, that money system is so complicated. But they'd probably think that about us, you know. But they probably just get used to doing that sort of a thing. Like,
I mean, it's the same UK and American imperial versus metric.
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah, well, I was gonna say out in the US, the price on things in a shop is different to what you're actually charged with because you have to figure out the tax and stuff like that. If you brought that system into other countries that don't do that, which I think is every other country, like we'd be so confused. We'd be like, oh my god, now we need to figure out the percentage of what and blah blah blah. So I feel like it's probably just like that to them. They're just used to
round
it.
up.
American money, I just always have extra.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't do the math.
Yeah.
We don't do them. At least I don't do the math. I'm
I don't
like,
think a
okay,
single
if it's
American does the math on that.
$5, let me have at least 7 so I know it's covered, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah,
So that-
it's
yeah.
I don't know of anywhere that has a sales tax that's more than 10%. So just assume 10% more.
Yeah.
That's... Oh wait,
We
hold
just
on.
used to
But
it.
I do live in a state that has an extra tax on sugar and alcohol. So.
That is like a classic response. I'm like, how do you figure out the maths? You're like, nah, we don't.
yeah. Yeah, we honestly just wing the whole thing.
I just remember how much I paid last time, and then
We just swipe the card.
assume it's going to be roughly that.
Yeah.
So
It's
maybe the
also a
wizards do the
simple
same. They just guess.
Because I do the math.
Yeah. The math nerds over here doing the math. Yeah, in this chapter I like that Hagrid can't answer all the questions. Like he just goes, something about you stumped him that night. And in this point of the book, we're left to wonder what it could be that stumped Voldemort about Harry. And I like that. Again, Hagrid is at least literally the perfect person to come into this because he just doesn't know a ton of the things going on. So you're left to wonder all the stuff going on rather than like if Dumbledore came, which part of me thinks that he should have come. If he was here, you might hate him more toward the end of the book for not revealing some of this stuff to Harry right now. And like Dumbledore's reasoning is always like, oh, when Harry's ready, when he's old enough, I'll give him all the information. But to be honest, he doesn't really give him all the information. Even when he says that, he's like, oh yeah, I'll give you the information when you're of age. And then the first question Harry asks, he's like, I take it back. I can't quite tell you that right now, you know. So Dumbledore is always doing that. So if Dumbledore introduced him, you might hate Dumbledore more in this chapter.
Yeah, I think the books want you to trust Dumbledore until Harry grows out of it.
Yes, for sure. Because it's from Harry's perspective. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's all. I feel like Dumbledore uses Hagrid as a mediator for giving the students some of the information. Because he knows Hagrid will slip up and tell him a little something.
Yeah, for sure.
And then yeah. But Hagrid doesn't know everything, so it's okay if Hagrid slips up because Hagrid only knows what Dumbledore is comfortable with everybody else knowing.
I heard in another podcast that was like Dumbledore on purpose sent Hagrid to do those things, like because he knows he's gonna sleep what he needs to sleep.
Yeah.
Like he needs to say by accident, you know, what he needs to say so Harry can continue on his journey, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Super Carlin's brothers did that whole Dumbledore's big plan thing.
Yeah, that's where I heard it too.
I don't like a lot of their later content on Harry Potter because they're grasping at straws now. But,
Yeah.
But Dumbledore's Big Plan is a great series.
It is.
It's also this is like a funny note that they went almost too far in the movies. I think it's an interesting fact that in the books Hagrid can't spell Voldemort. And then in the movies they took that to mean like he's just an idiot and he can't even spell happy birthday Harry because the cake is like all misspelled and all over the place. But it's not misspelled in the books, correct? Like he just spells normal happy birthday Harry.
Yeah, and he writes some letters.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
In the book,
Yeah,
for multiple books, and they're all well written, articulate letters.
It actually annoys me a little bit because I'm like, I feel like the point of not being able to spell Voldemort was because Voldemort was so feared and no one wanted to even touch the name or write it or like even learn how to spell it. So I feel like that was the purpose behind that. And then the movie creators were like, oh, he's an idiot that doesn't know how to spell. Let's make him misspell everything. So I don't know. That was a small little thing that I just didn't like.
It's also a French name, and you misspell French, so.
Yeah, I know all about that.
Maybe you thought there might be like a hidden U in there because it sounds French.
Voldemort. Yeah, you don't. It's a hard T or a soft T or a silent T. Ooh, Becky's back with a plant.
All right, now
my camera died, so I've had to switch cameras. And the plant is what fuels it. Oh, this recording. If you could see the mess that was on my desk right now, it's ridiculous. But yeah, justice for Hagrid. He may not be able to spell in the movies, but the movies really had to emphasize him.
Well, we know he reads the paper every day, so he should know how to spell.
Yeah, agreed. What other?
And he wrote. I'm sorry. He went to Hogwarts for 3 years, so he took notes. And I feel like everybody that goes to Hogwarts know already how to write, and I feel like his dad will have teach him, how to write and read.
Yeah.
He could be dyslexic or whatever the magical version of that is. He could be like intelligent but just not apply it in a academic sense or general life skills. Okay, we can't excuse him for his general life skills, but in terms of the spelling, wizards aren't exempt from that.
I also just know some people that just don't care about how things are spelled. They're like, you get what I said.
Yeah.
You understand what I wrote. It doesn't matter if I knew how to spell it right.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's people that are very smart and also can't spell.
Yeah, guys, there's people who are really smart and can't spell. Come on.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's that he doesn't care, because I feel like Hagrid is quite self-conscious about not being all that intelligent. But this is just in the movies, isn't it, that he can't spell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the whole thing was not being able to spell Voldemort. Maybe it's VOULDUMOURTE.
In his defense, how often is that being written down? Because are they not just writing you know who?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's French.
It's thinking French.
Yeah, there's like 7 extra R's hidden in there.
I know everyone in this discussion now is just going to think I have a problem with French people and the word opted, and no one's going to know the background behind that.
If you could hear the battles I've had with French Canadians, that's
at the end, Hagrid does, or Harry mentions, about like all the issues with Muggle, and or not all the issues, but one specific issue with Muggles and magic, the relationships between wizards and between Muggles. And then he says, if Muggles knew about magic, all they'd want is for wizards and witches to like solve all their problems. So I'm curious, for you guys, just as like fun question, and then I have a more interesting question after this. But what would be the number one problem in your life that you would solve with magic?
Ooh, if I could do magic, or if I had to ask somebody else?
You had to ask someone else for one thing.
Just repair some stuff.
Yeah, that'd be kind of nice. I was thinking that, like car repairs.
Spring no need for sleep anymore.
Ooh,
you know,
that'd be kind of nice.
A chip in the flooring.
They could just provide you with some flu powder. Like if they just gave you like a big sack of flu powder, and then you're set. You just go anywhere with a fireplace.
Yeah, but you have to set up the fireplace as well.
Yeah, fireplace has to be connected to the flu network.
I would like to have my credit fixed. I can get a house. That would be perfect.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's very practical.
I mean, there's not much I could ask. Like, my water bottle's empty. Could you fill this up for me?
Wait, you guys mentioned the flute network. Do you how similar to to apparition is the flute network? Do you need a wand, or do you need to be a wizard to travel by flute network?
It might anybody with flu powder and a fireplace could do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like Harry doesn't necessarily do anything magical to travel by flu powder. He just does what he's told.
Yeah, it's all based in the
and does
powder.
It badly.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, true.
Which I firmly think is Phoenix Ashes. But...
Ooh, flu powder is Phoenix Ashes?
Mm-hmm.
So like
one of the components could be
it dematerializes you and then rematerializes you somewhere else. There's a bunch of like people. There's a bunch of Jables running around this world now.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I would really love to work for FluPow just to see what's going on back there.
You know, it's a shady industry right now.
I think they just have a bunch of phoenixes just living and dying, and they're just collecting the ashes and selling them.
Dang, that's dark.
It's pure profit.
All the back alley black market things in the wizarding world must be significant. Even in
FluPow hasn't raised their price for flu powder in over 300 years.
Well, they have a complete monopoly on that. Yeah. There's no competition with them. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Even in the Fantastic Beasts movies, they use the alchemy shells to give Jacob his start in his bakery. And I'm like, the alchemy, like there's certain things that are so smuggled or like on like high alert on the black market. You get a little bit of that with Slughorn in the movies in particular, but I'd be so curious to know more about that.
Let's not even talk about the conversion rate that is 7 pounds to a galleon. You can just take this gold coin and sell it for the gold price. Just keep just repeat that.
Yeah. I love in the musicals how this is like a little bit off topic, but it's like it'd be funny that the Muggle transition versus the wizard transition. I love how in the musicals that I think it was Rita, right? She like ended up writing Harry Potter and all the books, the Harry Potter books, and selling them in the Muggle world. She was like going back and forth. I was like, that was such a funny little addition that they had in the musicals. I loved it.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun little headcanon that a lot of people have, is that J.K. Rowling is actually Rita Skeeter.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I think she said that herself too. All right. Anything else in this chapter before we wrap it up?
I just have one question. Would you think it would be like Lupin would be better, or Hagrid would be better to tell Harry that he's a wizard and tell him about his like family? Like I think I would prefer Lupin going to pick him up instead of Hagrid. Just because of the connection with the family.
I prefer Hagrid because of the wonder that Hagrid has for magic. And I feel like Lupin has like a very cynical view of things.
Yeah, true.
I'm actually, what's the actual date? This is July 31st, 1991.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm curious if there's a full moon. And maybe that's why he didn't let him go. No, it was a waning gibbous.
Yeah, but Lupin
So it was
doesn't
after
have
the full moon.
Lupin doesn't have an imposing presence to essentially force the Dursleys to let Harry go into the magical world. So I don't think it would work out. What would he do? Show up, give Harry some chocolate, and then just be like, "Hey, I'm taking Harry. We're gonna do magic stuff now." And then the Dursleys are like, "No, you're not gonna do that." Points the gun at him. I don't know.
He also looks disheveled like half of the time, so I don't know if Harry would trust that immediately.
Yeah.
Wes wants to come say hi.
Hey, Wes.
Another question or another Hagrid point, because this is a very Hagrid centric chapter, but I think that it's a little unethical to take a owl. I mean, he does a few unethical things in this, but he takes an owl and then just throws it out into the stormy weather right now. It's just to deliver a letter to Dumbledore. Like, come on, Hagrid, you can't wait till the morning to deliver, to like send this owl out. I know the owl might find like refuge, but
I mean, July 31st was the deadline, so
yeah.
But well, that's just what owls do in this world. So.
The teleport.
And then I wonder if Hagrid could produce a Patronus. Like that'd be a better mode of communication, like sending your Patronus out. But what would Hagrid's Patronus be? That's been an interesting question I thought of.
Hippogriff.
Really?
Or a dragon.
I feel like more of a dragon.
I've got to think about his personality. Like, what kind of personality, what animal is like big and sort of scary looking, but really gentle? Llama?
Koala or a llama.
A llama, that'd be great.
I think it would be like a bear. Yeah.
Or maybe like a panda.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll just say that because Hagrid's my favorite character and pandas are my favorite animal. But like pandas are like these bears, but they're just so like clumsy and they just fall over the place and they just want to play and cuddle and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like it'd be quite good for Hagrid.
How often do you watch the sneezing panda video?
Oh, it's the best.
Oh, pandas on a slide. Maybe pandas going down a slide. That's what it's all about.
Like pandas like climbing trees and they don't even know how to climb trees, so they like fall over and there's like they make a whole big ruckus falling over. It's like they're cute. They don't even know what they're doing.
So cute.
You know what? I'm convinced his Patronus is a panda.
I know. It's headcanon for me now. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out and discussing these two chapters with me. We'll probably just keep doing this in 2-chapter chunks so we can not spend 7 years going through these books. So we'll probably just keep knocking these out. So next week we'll go over chapters 5 and 6, and then we'll just keep knocking this out. I know. So we might be on that one for a while. Yeah, let's just knock this out.
What are chapters 5 and 6?
Diagon Alley and the journey from platform 9 3/4.
Yeah.
So there's a lot, but even this podcast, like I'll break this one up into 2 different ones. So every single podcast is like its own chapter. So there might be longer discussions, like maybe next week's will be like 3 hours or something like that. So it might be a longer one, but I'll break it up into their distinct chapters when I edit it. But all right, guys, thanks for hanging out and chilling. I'm going to stop recording and streaming unless you have anything else to say. I always say that with Danny, unless Danny has anything else to say, unless any of you guys have any